Elizabeth Vowell reporting live from North Foster Drive. That graphic video that you just watched has only added fuel to the anger and frustration felt by many here in this neighborhood. Here at the scene where the shooting took place, the crowd behind me has only grown by the hour. Some protesting, at some times spilling into the street and blocking traffic here. So far, things have been peaceful, but tensions are rising.
Hands up, don't shoot! Hands up, don't shoot!
Protesters took the place of police at the scene of a deadly officer-involved shooting. The frustration in the crowd as thick as the humid summer air after news spread that Alton Sterling was shot and killed early Tuesday morning.
You see it so much around the country, and you see it so much on TV, but for it to happen right here in your own backyard, it's just like, wow.
According to early police reports, officers were called to a store off North Foster in Baton Rouge after getting a report of an armed man. Investigators say there was an altercation between police and that suspect, Alton Sterling, in the parking lot. The store owner says one officer tased Sterling and a second officer then tackled him. He says that's when the first officer fired shots. State Representative Denise Marcel says the police chief told her officers were wearing body cameras, but that the cameras fell off during the struggle and did not capture the shooting. There is dash cam video and surveillance video from the store showing the shooting, she says, but it has not been released.
What I said to the chief is he has to have transparency in this matter, because as you can see, this is getting out of hand and people are clearly upset. And they want transparency.
However, cell phone video has surfaced online, appearing to show the moment officers opened fire. As the video was passed through the crowd, suspicion and disappointment grew, as did the anger.
We out here, we're gonna protest and we gotta be out here all night, because our lives do matter.
The worries are that we're not going to get the information that we need to cool this situation down, and this may definitely be the next Ferguson right here in Baton Rouge. That's the worries.
Sterling was known for selling CDs outside this convenience store, inches from where he died. His table now filled with flowers and messages of mourning. His friends confused and waiting for answers.
It just didn't make sense for someone to become so angry that's supposed to protect our lives and take this young man's life. It just doesn't make sense.
We all freak out. I'm a nurse. We all freak out in situations, but you're taught to be calm and to handle the situation the way that you're taught.
State Representative Denise Marcel had requested that state police take over this investigation. However, we're told by state police that that request can only come from the mayor or the Baton Rouge police chief, and at this hour, that has not happened. Both the officers involved in this shooting have been placed on administrative leave, and that is standard when shootings are involved. We're told their names will be released tomorrow. But that's the latest here on North Foster Drive. Elizabeth Vowell, WAFB 9 News. Back to you.
Yeah, Liz, we're just outside the Be Quick gas station, the site of so much tragedy almost a week ago, but it's now a beacon of hope for many people who come here. Now, we've been out here for much of the day, and we've seen a number of people walk up to this ever-growing memorial, kneel down right here, and lay fresh flowers at the base of the cross that bears Deputy Brad Garofola's name. Now, that was just one of the many heartfelt moments we saw while we were out here. We also saw one more during the funeral service. A heavy downpour washed through this area, and the flag that was hung over Airline Highway right near where those 3 officers gave their lives was in danger of falling. Despite the rain, several people who were waiting for the procession dropped everything and rushed to help Baton Rouge and St. George firefighters replace the flag. One volunteer says it was a powerful mix of patriotism and respect for Deputy Garofola.
And it was right there 5 feet away from us, and I thought that was amazing. And then people just jumped in and started helping the police and the firefighters protect the flag and give it the respect that it's supposed to have. And so it was the coolest thing that's ever happened to me in my entire life. And I was in the right place at the right time.
Now, it's truly been an emotional day here, but that was certainly a sight to see, and probably the most clear sign of progress that we've seen since these tragedies took place. We're live tonight outside the Be Quick gas station. Liz, I'm Scotty Hunter, WAFB 9 News. Back to you. After those devastating floods, I want you to take a look with me now, and you can see yard after yard, the street is lined with personal belongings. You can see things like coloring books, recipe books, bags, all of these things that have sentimental value. We'll start you off with the good news, and that is the water is going down here. But the bad news, the problem now shifts to the strong current, which is pushing you slowly along this highway down towards these homes.
The governor and his team set off from Baton Rouge heading east. Communities that had dried out, such as Denham Springs, soon gave way to devastating sights. Parts of Livingston Parish and Ascension Parish still under several feet of water. The rooftops of these homes barely visible. Many of those families ended up here at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center in Ascension Parish.
Nobody wants to be here, and everybody is being somewhat inconvenienced and ready to go home. But to a person, everybody in there is thankful for having this available to them, and they believe they're being cared for as well as is possible under the circumstances.
Like he has time and time again this past week, Governor John Bell Edwards met one-on-one with those sheltering.
I hope they take good care of you here and you get home soon. How you doing, sweetheart? What's your name?
Yeah. And gave thanks to those volunteering and lending a hand.
I'm very, very happy with the way they're being cared for. The volunteers, the medical staff, the people who are here working with the children. It just couldn't be better.
I'm just really impressed and could see the passion in the volunteers' eyes that made so much of the rescues, and just a great cooperative effort.
Also at Lamar Dixon, an entire building set aside for the animals. Everything from dogs and guinea pigs to chickens. From there, the next stop took them to the Hunt Correctional Center and the women's prison in St. Gabriel, which was evacuated yesterday. From the air, you can see water surrounding that facility. The Secretary of the Department of Corrections says while water has not gotten into the cell blocks of the women's prison, many administration buildings are filled with 6 inches of water.
We regrouping for renovations. We're already starting that process to get the water out of there with the tiger dams. We're going to pump it dry and start working on bringing it back online. You know, that's what we have to do next. And at Hunt, we're on standby, if we have to evacuate, but we're ready to if we have to.
At Hunt, sandbags are being loaded and taken by air to the Alligator Bayou, which is currently overflowing, putting some neighborhoods at risk. For Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser, the sights of recent days are all too familiar.
It does bring back some memories, but to see that parish come back after being flooded for 3 hurricanes, we'll do it. Every parish will come back stronger and better than ever.
Traveling with the governor, Kevin Fry, WAFB 9 News.
Hey, Greg. Well, in just the 1 month that Deputy Tullier has been here at Tier Memorial Hermann, he has surpassed all expectations, including of all the doctors here. His family says it is nothing short of a miracle, and they ask that you determine that for yourself by watching him.
Pull your hand up here. This one, your left hand. Pull it up. All the way up. There you go.
These are some of the miracles some doctors said were never possible.
Go, 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 go. Good.
And here, watch his eye as he follows the mirror.
There's the voice.
After spending 4 months at a Baton Rouge hospital, Deputy Nick Tullier was transferred to Tier Memorial Hermann Rehab in Houston a month ago. He arrived fully conscious. In that 1 month, he's made remarkable progress.
Nick can see. Nick can hear. Nick is aware of different aspects of his environment. Nick understands language. Nick knows who he is. Nick knows where he is. He can identify that he is in Houston, Texas, and in a hospital.
How do they know that? He's moving his head down to answer yes and to the right to answer no. The movements are slow because his body is very stiff. He was shot 3 times on July 17th in the abdomen, shoulder, and head. The gunshot to the head caused brain injury as well as a lack of oxygen to the brain after he went into cardiac arrest the day of the shooting.
His mind and his body are out of sync with each other. His level of consciousness would allow him, if his body would have allowed him, to do things and want to do things that he can't do currently because of the bodily limitations that he has.
Nick, can you push forward? Let's make an N.
Here Nick is writing a N for his name, but before his therapists can tell him how to draw the N, he's already doing it.
Pulling that, okay. So you know what's next for the N.
And he can write his own name. This is a week ago written with his left hand. Nick is right-handed. Watch Nick try to click a pen on. It takes him everything he's got to click it on. His face here is not frustration, but determination and concentration to do what he is asked of, including being able to strum a guitar.
Keep pushing. There you go. And again. Woo!
Even with the spasticity, Nick is able to move his left hand and his arm. He's able to move his head. He is able and has some movement in his legs as well.
Can you lift your hand and wave high?
It's why this week, for the first time, Nick stood up with the help of a vector system with a therapist holding his head for support. Every day, Nick has 4 hours of physical therapy, and most importantly, he refuses to call it quits.
These are miracles. I don't know how else to describe them when science, you know, these doctors are scientists. When science tells you this will never happen again, and then it does. Miracles.
The muscles around his mouth are still very stiff, which is why he is not talking, but a speech therapist is working with him. He is, however, making noises.
I've heard Nick say, oh, you know, but they've asked him at times, you know, or we're wearing you out, can you keep going? He nods, yes, I want to keep going.
Against all odds, his dad will tell you Nick is pulling through. He asks one thing of you.
Pray. Just keep praying for Nick. That's all we need.
We did ask for a long-term prognosis here on Deputy Tullier, and the medical director at TIER tells us that it has to be measured in months, and that's because it all depends on Nick's body and the stiffness and how quickly he can come out of that and actually start moving a little bit more through that physical therapy. Again, remarkable here, and he is still continuing to fight. As you can see, he is definitely a fighter. Tonight we are live at TIER Memorial Hermann in Houston, Texas. Kieran Shawla, WAFB 9 News. Donna?
No longer a scene of pain, but a beacon of hope for the city of Baton Rouge. As we saw just moments ago when Deputy Brad Garofalo's body was transferred from that horse-drawn carriage to the hearse, people just couldn't help themselves. They piled into the roadway just to get even the smallest glimpse of what was happening. Joining me now is East Baton Rouge District Attorney Hiller Moore, and if you could just, in your own words, tell us a little bit about what this day has been like. Yeah, Liz, we're outside the EBR Parish Prison tonight, where we've seen a large number of people out here waiting, anxiously waiting to be reunited with their family members who are being released this hour. Many of them telling us that they have been waiting out here for much of the day. Now, there was plenty of tense moments last night outside BRPD headquarters. According to police, one officer had several teeth knocked out as more than 100 protesters were arrested and taken to jail. Most of those arrests were charged with obstructing a highway. The main rule officers had for demonstrators was not to step into the street. One National Black Lives Matter activist, D. Ray McKesson, was released this afternoon following his arrest. Our cameras were rolling as he took his first steps outside of the prison. Here's some of what he had to say.
The only people that were violent last night were the Baton Rouge Police Department. The protesters remain peaceful both here and across the country. Again, I remain deeply disappointed in the Baton Rouge Police Department.
Now, District Attorney Hiller Moore tells us a judge is working quickly to review each case and set appropriate bonds. In all, nearly 150 protesters have been arrested since Friday. All those demonstrations related to the death of Alton Sterling. That's the latest here tonight outside the EBR Parish Prison. Liz, I'm Scotty Hunter, WAFB 9 News. Back to you.
Greg, we don't know very much yet. We know that this young man's name, Maxwell Groover, he is 18 years old. This is the Phi Delta House on Dalrymple Drive here at LSU. Dalrymple has reopened, but you can see there is still crime scene tape all the way around this house, this frat house on campus. We've seen some LSU police officers posted on the corners. We've seen detectives going in and out, as well as Hiller Moore, the district attorney here in East Baton Rouge Parish. So here is what we know so far from police, from investigators. They authorities say at some point overnight, Maxwell Groover was taken by a private car from the Phi Delt house to the hospital. According to the coroner, he was pronounced dead there at the hospital. An autopsy is scheduled for tomorrow. We know also at some point today that other Phi Delts were taken in for questioning to try to figure out exactly what may have happened overnight. But again, that remains unclear right now. We just know that Maxwell Groover, this 18-year-old, his identity, his name just released within the last hour, being confirmed as the young man who lost his life overnight due to something that happened here at the Phi Delt house. The big question is what may have happened and what LSU's response will be. We expect to get an update from the university at some point tonight. We'll bring you that information as soon as we get it. Guys? Yeah, guys, a reported shooting here. BRPD working this on Gus Young Avenue at North 48th. They're not exactly sure where the shooting happened, but this is where the victim ended up. Police focusing on this black car that's kind of wedged next to that telephone pole right in the parking lot of Ragusa's Deli. From what we understand, a woman was taken to the hospital after being shot in the stomach. Her condition is not known at this point, but Baton Rouge Police crime scene units just getting on scene to work this and figure out exactly what happened here. They're still in their very early stage of the investigation. If you know what may have happened here just a little bit ago, about 30 minutes ago on Gus Young Avenue, call Crime Stoppers at 344-STOP. Of course, you can remain anonymous, guys.
You can count them with me. 1, 2, 3, at least 9 bullet holes in this St. Francisville home. 2 men are dead.
Zachary and Airline. Coach Brewerton and the Broncos they've gotten used to playing on the Friday after Thanksgiving, and early on, Keelan Brown connects with Chandler Whitfield for the first score of the game. It is 7-0. Broncos out in front. Then it's Brown throwing another long one. Trey Shropshire makes the catch and beats the defense for the 17-3 advantage on Airline. Airline trying to answer back. Jordan Gladney hits Nate Fuliov on a deep one to make it 17-10. Lots of deep passes in this game. Some defensive backs will not like to look at the game tape next week. In the meantime, Brown to Shropshire again, another touchdown. That makes it 24-10. But Jordan Gladney gets the snap, and he is going to carry and score. So it's 24-17. Back and forth we go in the very competitive game. Brown drops back and throws. It is picked off. So the defensive backs finally stepping up. It is Caleb Allen, the pick six. And we are tied up at 24 apiece. Zachary goes for 3 here. Martel Fontenot does hit the field goal. It is good. So it is 27-24 Broncos. Gladney back to pass. Looks, fires, intercepted. Rodarian Alexander picks it off for Zachary. Hanging on to the football. And then Zachary capitalizes as Brown sneaks it in from the goal line here to make it 24-14. And that